Hey guys, how's it going? It's Lynette here. So in this video today, I'm basically going to be breaking down why I really love One Piece. In the video, I'll basically be breaking it down in two ways. 10 reasons why I really love One Piece and then 3 reasons why I don't like it. Or not necessarily don't like it, but just things that I don't like about it. I really hope you guys enjoy. One Piece is easily one of my favorite shows of all time. Scratch that. It's my favorite show of all time. I think it's the best. So anyways, let's get right to it. I think One Piece has the best cast of all time, whether that's TV shows or movies, doesn't matter. Best. Granted, a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's such a long show that I mean, of course there's going to be lots of characters involved, right? But even then, it's just amazing because obviously you have the main cast, but you also have side characters that sometimes catches your heart. Think Senor Pink. And I think that they all have their own different character arcs. I think they all have different moments within the show that really shows you why they are a really good character. Now, another reason why I really love One Piece is because I think it has some of the best payoffs. Now, what do I mean by that? Essentially, what it boils down to is that Oda likes to do this thing where he plants seeds early on in the show and he doesn't really harvest them until sometimes hundreds and hundreds of chapters down the line. For example, think Sun God Nika from Skypiea. Okay, moving on to the next one. So, while One Piece does have its moments of sadness or horror, the main takeaway is that at least 99.9% of the time, it's so happy. Now, what do I mean by that? Essentially, it's just that it's a really happy show and that, like, you know that our crew, Luffy and the crew, they are going to succeed. And that really resonates with me. Now, a lot of the reason why the story does end up the way it does, that way, in that it's very happy, is because of the show's protag, Luffy, which is my favorite character from the show, but also definitely one of my favorite characters of all time. He's just so pure. He's so optimistic. He's the kind of person that just never really gives up and he wears his emotions on his sleeve. It's really the kind of person that I strive to be and that's why I really like him. So to go back on like the cast, some of the character arcs that Oda makes his characters go through are some of the best that I've seen in fiction and I love it. I love it. These character arcs remind you of arcs that other characters in other shows have gone through. Think Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones. Think Zuko from Avatar. Think Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. Heck, think BoJack Horseman from BoJack Horseman. He has an amazing character arc. Whether or not you think it ended good, doesn't matter. It's a really good arc from start to finish. Another thing that I really loved about One Piece is I love how huge the world is. I loved all of the islands. I loved all the different groups of people, the factions, the cities, all the different places. It really just shows you Oda's creativity when it comes to these different places. Cause like think Impel Down, right? Like if you think about a jail cell, like or like a jail that it's like underwater with all those different like levels to it, and each level has like a different like what would you say like weather or like biome or whatever the case may be like to it, I just think that's like super cool and it's just like Oda, like how do you think of this kind of stuff? Like it's supposed to just be a jail, like a holding for like criminals, it's crazy. It really makes the world seem more vibrant. And another thing that I really love about that is that it makes it feel like the world has always been there and that it's always existed there and it's not something that was kind of just created for the show's sake. Oda's really good at that. He's really good at making it, seem like the world surrounding our crew has like always been there. There's already like an established like thing and the Straw Hats are basically just going through this world, maneuvering their way around it. Another reason why I love One Piece is I really love the conflict. You know, think internally, you have Water 7 with the whole like Robin and Usopp thing, that inner conflict that was going on between the crew and, Water 7. Peak storytelling, by the way. Or even externally, like think Marineford or any arc really that involves conflict. Like it's just really good. Okay, so this one I think you guys are gonna find interesting. But another reason why I love One Piece are the celestial dragons. Now I know, hear me out. I don't necessarily love them specifically, but I love what they represent within the story. I love their tyranny over the world. I love how brutal they are, their brutality. I love their lack of emotions, their lack of empathy towards everyone else. I love how evil they are. Why? Because they're the polar opposite of what Luffy is and what Luffy stands for, which is why exactly when Luffy punches Charlos in Sabayori, it just makes that moment much more, for a lack of better word, better. Because it'll make their eventual downfall, the Celestial Dragons, that much better. Like when Luffy and company take them down. Like if you think back to like the Celestial Dragons and you see all of the things that they've done, all the evil things, it fills you with so much like rage and hatred, you know? And you just really can't wait until they're stopped, you know? Another reason why I love One Piece are the backstories. I think One Piece has some of the best backstories I've seen, again, in fiction. I know I keep repeating myself every time I say that, but that's just how much I love One Piece. I think One Piece is fiction at its peak. The backstories are just amazing. Some of the best backstories I've seen in One Piece definitely have to be, you know, Robin, Law, Brooke, heck, even Senor Pink. Like, Senor Pink just had an amazing backstory for no reason, but, you know, Oda is just that good with his backstories that he gave Senor Pink, a character that we were only really introduced in that arc. And then as of late, also Kuma, his backstory, amazing. Like, I think Oda is just really, really good at backstories, and then above all, One Piece is really just a story that inspires. It inspires you to really chase your dreams, not let anyone discourage you. It tells you that no matter how crazy or wild your dreams are, you can achieve them. Obviously, it's not going to be easy. I mean, look at Luffy. We're 1,100 episodes in, and he still isn't King of the Pirates, isn't he? But I think that's the point. Okay, now it's time to talk about some of the things I actually don't like about One Piece. Some of these are very big things that if it wasn't for One Piece being as good as it is, it would be very detrimental to the show. But let's get started. So the first thing I don't like about One Piece is I absolutely hate its pacing. It's more prominent in the anime, but it also has its problems in the manga. In the anime, it just makes it almost unbearable to watch. The pacing is just terrible. There's so many instances where you feel like a lot could have been cut out. I get it though. A lot of shonen anime are like that. And I think Dragon Ball kind of started that whole thing. But just because it's the norm doesn't mean that it's a good thing. But hey, what can you do? The second thing that I don't like about One Piece is the fan service. I feel like the fan service can really get in the way of the story at times. It's not so much that I have a problem with fan service. I think a lot of shows and movies, whether they're animated or not, have fan service in them, whether it's for guys or girls, you know? I just think that there are moments in One Piece where it kind of detaches you from the show. It kind of makes you, it just removes you from the show, and it doesn't really help at all with the show, if that makes any sense. It doesn't add anything to it. It kind of just, it seems like it's there just for that reason, and I don't appreciate it at times because sometimes it could be so out there that like sometimes I have to hide my screen or hide my phone from people around me because, you know, like I don't want people to think that I'm some weird guy watching, you know, something weird. And unfortunately, there's lots of it in One Piece. You know, some of the more prominent scenes are definitely like Nami and Thriller Bark, that one shower scene, obviously, and then a few scenes in Wano, like in the bath, like, you know, it's just like I feel like that. Though I don't know, I feel like they shouldn't have gotten to I feel like they shouldn't have gotten to that point where it's like excessive, you know? But I don't think that's going to be stopping anytime soon. It's something that's been consistent since One Piece, you know, has kind of started. And now the third and final thing that I really didn't like in One Piece is Sanji. Now, why Sanji? There's lots of characters out there that I don't like. Some of them being main characters, some of them being side characters. But I'm not naming them specifically. The reason I'm naming Sanji specifically in this instance is because I really like Sanji. I do. I love Sanji. I think that he has the personality and the character to be a top 5 character for me in the show, but he isn't, and he probably won't ever be. And why is that? You see, my problem with Sanji is his simpy nature towards women. Now, don't get me wrong, like, it's not that I don't like that. It's just sometimes, just like the fan service, it gets in the way of the story and it gets in the way of him. I feel like it's excessive at times. Think the bloody noses. Like, I think at its all-time high, it was probably, or like all-time worst, it was probably in Fishman Island. You guys remember that? That was terrible. Like that just it just made me not like Sanji that much. And it sucks because he's such a really good character. Like both of his backstories are just some of the best backstories. And I love them personally because they're just really good. Sanji's a really, really well written character. And the thing about his simpy nature is that you kind of understand it because he grew up in a situation where all of the men in his family hated him and mistreated him and abused him, but the one person who never mistreated him, the one person who always loved him was his mom. So you understand his simpy nature, and I understand it. But sometimes it just gets to a point where it's just too much and it really takes you away. It detaches you from the story and it kind of just it sucks because he's a really good character, you know? So that's why I don't really like Sanji that much. But yeah, with all of that being said, One Piece is my favorite piece of media of all time. Visual media. Nothing can top it. Despite its flaws, it ranks comfortably in my number one spot. And I don't really see any other show topping it anytime soon. At least for now. But yeah. Speaking of which, one show did come super close though, but because a certain author decided to go on a hiatus for multiple years, the show had no choice but to continue without its source material and completely obliterate what could have been the greatest piece of fiction in the history of fiction, in my opinion, of course. But that's for another video. I'm kind of teasing to you guys right there what my number two of all time is actually. But anyways, thanks guys. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed. It was my first video, so please give it a thumbs up, comment, like, subscribe, dislike if you dislike. Peace.